Hello everyone and welcome to my review for Chainsaw Man chapters 111 and 112. This is obviously out a little bit late, though I figured it wouldn't be a bad idea saving it until a week where we didn't have a chapter. Though even then it's out a little bit later than I intended because I am bad at time management and finding the motivation to do things outside of my regular routine. But here we are now. So before we get into this week's review, if you haven't already, definitely be sure to like and subscribe. I'd like to try and hit at least 100 likes on this week's review, and the next big goal for the channel is hitting 10,000 subscribers, so be sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet. Now without any further ado, let's get right into this week's review. As you know, this isn't really so much a review of the quality of the chapters. I mean, they're good. Kind of goes without saying for the most part with Fujimoto. But more so talking about the big important stuff that gives us a lot to talk about. Hence why I don't end up doing reviews that often, but really kind of have to do a review for these last two chapters, because we got two very big pieces of information in chapter 111. The first of which is that the Justice Devil is apparently at the school. And I think the most obvious candidate for the Justice Devil is this weird girl with the scale earrings who offered to save Yuko because she would always help her little sister. Now this person we assumed was Famine, because Famine comes in riding a white horse and holding a pair of scales, or a scale. Would it be a pair or just a singular scale? I don't know. Carrying around a scale is weird. The Bible's weird. Anyway, so now we have a bit of a question raised here, because presumably this is the devil that Yuko was talking about, because, well, she was the one that was able to resurrect Yuko and make her into this big kaiju monster thing that Denji ended up fighting. So safe to assume that the reason she was able to do that is because she's the one that Yuko had the contract with. But is she actually the Justice Devil, or is she Famine? Is she pretending to be Justice, or are we just assuming that she's Famine? Because the interesting thing here is that as far as we can tell, she is one of the Four Horsemen. She has the same distinctive features that Makima and Yoru have. I guess now Nayuta has. And when she talks about her little sister, it's probably safe to assume she's talking about Yoru. She's talking about war. But we haven't had any confirmation of what the Four Horsemen are. We're kind of running off assumptions here. We know War is one of the Four Horsemen. Conquest generally seems to be a replacement for Famine depending on the version of the Four Horsemen that we're working off here. We know Makima was called the Control Devil, but I believe the kanji for control and conquest are basically the same thing, and she was probably called the Control Devil by the translator before we had the context of the Four Horsemen being a thing. So I don't know, maybe if that context was available back in the past, they would have called her the Conquest Devil or something. That's a possibility. But it may be the case that we're not necessarily dealing with the same classic Four Horsemen. There's no Pestilence, we have Conquest, which is arguably a more classic version, I think. But it's not the version most people think of. And it's maybe possible that Fujimoto may just want to go in an entirely different direction with at least one of them, because Famine and Pestilence don't really hit as hard as Four Horsemen as War and Death do, you know? I mean, shit. That's why fucking Darksiders replaced them with Fury and Strife, even though those are basically very similar things to just war. So maybe it's possible that Justice is actually one of the Four Horsemen, though I feel like if it were, Yoru probably would have said something about it. Assuming that Yoru is aware of the other Four Horsemen, because you know how the whole thing is with the devils dying and going to Earth. They don't really remember anything from their time in Hell, so maybe she just forgot. But Makima was aware of them. But Makima was also aware of the concept that the Chainsaw Man had deleted, so maybe the Conquest Devil is just a special case, because control and whatnot. I guess we're just going to have to wait and see what exactly she is, but Justice being one of the Four Horsemen could be interesting, definitely a bit of a different take, because it could arguably be something along the lines of, the four horsemen are the bringers of the apocalypse, which is when God is like, I'm fucking sick of you people. Well, a lot of you guys that are good Christians, you can come to heaven now or whatever, but the rest of you, go to hell. Suffer for eternity. And so now they're subject to God's justice, maybe. There are some arguments as to why people would fear justice, though generally justice is a positive concept, so you wouldn't think justice would be that strong. Who knows? We're just gonna have to see what happens on Fujimoto's wild ride. The next thing, and this is mostly carrying over into chapter 112, the big thing we're talking about, is that Yuko goes and runs off, and she falls asleep on top of some rooftop somewhere, and gets decapitated, presumably killed by Chainsaw Man. Except, here's the problem. Denji is asleep at the time. It's not Denji. So who the fuck is it? Who is this fake Chainsaw Man? Well, there are some interesting things here that put some earlier chapters into a bit of a different light. So, when people were getting interviewed on the news, some of them were talking about how Chainsaw Man eats people and stuff, how they're evil, they don't help anyone, they let people die. They're just they're just a devil. There's not anything special about them, they're just another devil that sometimes kills other devils. Now, there are two ways to look at this here. One, some degree of fear on the part of the public has created a Chainsaw Man devil. That's wacky. This should theoretically mean that there is a devil out there somewhere, which we've already kind of theorized as existing, and that thing's probably some absurd transcendent being or something. That's one possibility. The other possibility is that this fake Chainsaw Man is already a thing, and them going around doing fucked up stuff is what's giving Denji a bad name. It could be either of these things, really. If it's the former, well, it's just a devil that's operating based on the perceptions that people have of Denji. If it's the latter, it's someone that's trying to emulate Denji, or someone that's trying to make him look bad. Who knows? It could be either or. It could be a Chainsaw Man fanboy creature of some kind, or it could be someone that hates him and is trying to ruin his reputation. But this raises the question, who is the fake Chainsaw Man? The most obvious contender is a fellow we meet in chapter 112, Haruka Isayumi. So, here's the deal with Isayumi. He is the club/student council president of the Devil Hunters Club, meaning the Devil Hunters Club is also the student council. That's an interesting choice on the school's part, but why not? I can see it working, I guess. By the way, the horseman chick is part of the Devil Hunters Club. She was the girl with the hat and the coat and the sword that looked really cool, and we were glad didn't die. Her being part of the student council is interesting, because that means that she would probably have access to pretty much anyone she wants to. How do you think Mitaka's class president ended up meeting the Justice Devil and making a contract with them? Yes, I wonder. But according to Isayumi, when Yoru asks, he is Chainsaw Man, as he has the little chainsaw pulley thing sticking out of his chest. Now, either, yeah, it's actually him, but he's like kind of a weirdo idiot or something. To be fair, Denji would do that, but Denji has like a room temperature IQ, so it's to be expected of Denji. But with this guy, I don't know, seems kind of dumb, kind of a stupid move on his part. Or it's like an implant. It's like getting a nose ring or something, except it's a little chainsaw thing to show his Chainsaw Man appreciation, and it would not be a surprise if a bunch of members of the Devil Hunting Club were big Chainsaw Man fanboys, Just look at the Horseman girl. She's got earrings that look like scales, but also look like the chainsaw poles. You know, notice kind of a pattern here? Quite interesting, isn't it? Now, alternatively, this guy's a red herring. Really wouldn't be surprising. I mean, revealing who this fake chainsaw man is within one chapter of showing that they exist would be an interesting choice. But him coming out here and just saying it does feel almost like kind of a diversion or something. I did see one person point out that the height and posture or something of the fake chainsaw man seems to match much more to this guy wearing the hat at the back of the group, who's much taller and bigger. The guy that lost an eye when they were fighting Yuko. So maybe that guy's the one. Who knows? Presumably they're going to be the next kind of arc antagonist. You know, Yuko was the one for this little school arc that we had. I mean, we're still in school, but, you know, now we're moving on to a new thing here. And that'll be the fake Chainsaw Man. Speaking of the new thing we're moving on to here is Mitaka needs to make a very powerful weapon, and she plans on using Denji to do that. How does she plan on doing that? By starting a relationship with him. So she asks him out on a date, and Denji being Denji accepts. So once again, a woman only wants to go out with Denji so she can fucking murder him. He just can't catch a break. He just never can. It's impossible. Nobody wants Denji's heart. They only want the Chainsaw Man. They just want to kill Chainsaw Man. They want to fuck Chainsaw Man. No one wants anything to do with Denji. My guy can never win. And I mean, seriously, you look at his face, he's got some serious fucking depression here. I can't wait till we have his breakdown chapter. That's gonna be so peak. Like, goddamn, that's gonna be phenomenal whenever we get to that. So I'm very excited for that, but I'm very excited for whatever little slice of life stuff we're gonna get with these two going on a date with each other. I know we're getting a chapter this week, you know, on Tuesday, but I think Fujimoto was saying something on Twitter about taking a break. I don't know if I got that notification late and that was in reference to this week, or if that's going to be the week after next week. I don't know. We're gonna find out. But with that, that's all for this week's review. If you enjoyed, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click that notification bell so you don't miss any of my uploads. I do Chainsaw Man chapter reactions and reviews every week that we get a new chapter. If you enjoy discussing Chainsaw Man with other people, or you just enjoy the content I produce on this channel, I highly suggest you check out my Discord server. I have a link to that down in the description. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys around. Take care.